I think we've given people plenty of opportunities to tap in. Thanks for answering, Stephanie. Let me actually send you the link. Maybe you can't see it. I tried to set up this Zoom in a way that you guys can see the old messages, but apparently that's not working, and I have no idea how to pin these. So we're building the plane while we're falling. That's what I love to say. But I really thank you guys, everyone that's here today. First, I want to say thank you so much. I am so grateful to each and every one of you for being here this evening. It means a lot to me that you are here, that you're sharing this evening. Like I mentioned last week, there's a lot that I'm pouring into this session, and I really, really hope that you guys get as much, or should I say more value than what I have been trying to put into it, So with that being said, let's just jump into it. Welcome, millionaires in the making, to another financial road mapping session. We have a lot that we're going to be covering today, a lot. So I hope that you guys brought your pens, your papers, your notepads, etc., so that you can be fully immersed, fully tapped in, and seeing all of this game and more that I've put together for you guys today. So with that being said, let's get it rolling. Now, today's session is a very interesting one. I know that last week I talked to you guys about roadmap. In fact, we've been talking about the roadmap for quite some time now. Right? We've been talking about roadmap, exploring everything to do around roadmap. And if for those that weren't here before, a quick reminder of what roadmap even is. Roadmap stands for review, organize, align, define, and then your massive action plan. In fact, I was telling folks before, like many of you guys know me from, I've been a trainer for about 10 years now, and this is the roadmap I use. This is what I use for every single client. I got to review what your eating is. I got to help you organize your life, your fridge, align where you want to go, define, let's get specific. And you can use this framework for just about anything and everything in life, right? Anything you want to do. You use the roadmap framework, and I can tell you will find success. But I mentioned another framework to you guys that you may not have seen yet. Right now, this next framework is called Basecamp. Okay, and everything that we do at MITM, we like to turn mountains into molehills. A lot of people say, don't make a mountain out of a molehill. We do the opposite. We take the big, scary, ridiculous things that happen in life and we shrink it down so it's like a molehill that we're just stepping over. You don't even notice. And Basecamp is the first place that you have to go to when you're scaling any mountain in your life. Basecamp is one of the most important places to go to get all the tools, all the resources, the guide that's going to bring you up that mountain. And I don't want you guys climbing up the mountain manually. I encourage you to be as lazy as possible. And by being as lazy as possible, I'm saying you should have a hot air balloon to take you up the mountain instead of having to climb and scale it yourself. So hopefully by the end of today's session, you go from scaling mountains like everybody else to going up in a hot air balloon and coasting on the way up. So let's actually explore Basecamp, and I'll tell you guys exactly what Basecamp stands for. What does it mean? Right? And all these acronyms exist to try and help you solidify it in your mind what the next steps are. Hopefully now cash, knowledge, attitude, skills, and habits has stuck with you. That cash will help you make more monetary cash. Knowledge, attitude, skills, habits help you make more money. Roadmap helps you make sure you know where you're going and how to build out your plan to get there. Basecamp is actually one of my favorite ones because now we're not planning anymore, we're doing, and we're human beings, which we should be doing many things. So Basecamp, what's happening? Oh yeah. So one question I'd love to ask you guys is, what would you do if you lost your primary source of income tomorrow? And you can say it out loud, or you can write it down in the chat, or you can just introspectively think about it. But if you lost your primary source of income, What would that mean for you? What would that do for you? Deb said she started job hunting. Yep, proactive. I love it. Anyone else want to share? If you lost your primary source of income tomorrow, what would you do? Steph says EI right away while finding a job. Irv says making a new business of my own, because that's basically the situation I'm in right now. Well, thank you for sharing, and I appreciate everyone being vulnerable and honest here. This is how we build community. It's very, very powerful. That's one question. Another question that I want you guys to think about is how long could you survive financially without income? No more money is coming in. How long would you survive financially? And you could write it down in the chat. I could read it out for you, or you guys can shout it out. Feel free. But how long could you survive financially without income? Steph says 6 months. Okay, that's what's up. Anyone else want to share? How long do you think would you survive financially? We got 2 months. What's up, Rolando? I'm glad you made it in. Okay, 2 months. And you know something that's very interesting. Yeah, hey, it's good to see you, man. Well, there's a very interesting statistic that goes along with this. Another question, and these are a couple questions. We always ask a lot of questions, more this time than not. Who has at least 1 month of expenses saved? Drop a 1 down in the chat if you got 1 month of expenses saved. Sabali says it depends, not very long without active income, 3 months. Okay, I see you. So we have from 0 up to 6 months and everything in between. Well, let's fast forward, because you guys kind of already answered this question, and I kind of put it backwards. But 1 month, 3 months, 6 months. How would you survive? How would you actually be able to make it? And it's kind of going into the direction of what today's talk is going to be out. Now, did you know that 80% of people are living paycheck to paycheck right at this very moment? 80% of people are living paycheck to paycheck. You miss a paycheck, problems. And here within this MITM Club, everyone that's here right now, I want you guys to be part of the 20% that are not living paycheck to paycheck, that have some breathing room, that have some ability to actually make their dream life a reality, to actually live their dream lives. So let's look at these two different individuals, right? We have a gentleman that's flicking a coin up in the air, looking at it. We have someone that is begging for cash on the other side. Now, I do have these very juxtaposed images beside each other for a reason, all right? Now, let's say we look at person A, no emergency fund. What happens? Well, they get hit with an unexpected $2,000 car repair bill. They use their credit cards, which then leads to high interest debt. Then they fall behind on different bills. They may feel financially trapped, stressed, and they lose confidence to actually reaching their financial goals. This is what person A, no emergency fund, no safety net, no nothing to actually get to where they need to get to. So person B, they have an emergency fund. Okay, they have the same $2,000 expense, but they use their emergency fund. So what does that mean? No stress. They're actually sticking to their financial goals. They're staying on track. They feel secure. They stay focused, and they're focused on building their wealth rather than just survival. One of the things that they do say, it's hard to build wealth when you're thinking of survival. It does take time to get out of the survival mindset. It took me a very long time. In fact, sometimes it's honestly, I find it motivating to keep me out of just anytime I start to dip down below a certain number, I'm like, oof, I gotta get working. Now, the difference between financial struggle and financial freedom is not income. A lot of people think you need to make more money. I mean, making more money does solve a lot of problems, but being prepared is a thing that will actually make you financially successful. Knowing what is going to come and being ready for the thing is what's going to make you financially successful. Let's see if this slide works, okay? I'm hoping that it does, because this is our interactive piece. So, thank you guys so much for sharing the 3 unexpected expenses you faced recently. We have phone bills, car expenses, car written off. We have legal fees, Subscriptions, and it looks like a lot of people said subscriptions. One of the biggest ones here. We got rent, last minute lifts, speeding, insurance payments, a lot of car stuff here, guys. New glasses, car repair, cancer in 2018. Like, these are some things that will often derail us. And I don't know if you guys noticed, I mentioned the car thing. The car emerged, something happened, and you had to spend the $2,000 on the car. And so many folks have mentioned over and over cars. Cars are one of the biggest expenses that we have that takes so much money out of our pockets. And this leads to that next step where it's like, financial stress leads to so many problems. It can cause problems within your family. It's actually one of the top 3 reasons for divorce. Why people get divorced is because of financial stress. And now imagine that just within familial relationships. So with that being said, let's keep it moving. So wealth begins with security, not just making money. Okay, making money is not everything. And so with that being said, today's session is about how starting your emergency fund will actually make you rich. Having an emergency fund will give you the ability to build the life that you want. And you may not know this, or maybe you do know this, but there are 11 different stages of wealth that you will pass through. In fact, here are the 11 stages, the MITM 11 stages of wealth that we have here. And as we look at the 11 stages, we got your foundation, your breakthrough, building your shield, breaking 3, becoming a wealth warrior, being a legacy builder, having your freedom vault, being a security kingpin, being an independence architect, lifestyle freedom, and finally an abundance creator. All right, we have all these different stages of wealth, all these different 11 stages. And it's so funny. I know some of you guys were here for the last one where we started talking about the 11 stages, but most folks, they're in stage 0 to stage 3. And then stage 0 to stage 3. Most people, I'd say 80% of people live their whole life in these first 3 stages, never actually getting to stage 4. And I want for everyone that's here tonight to actually make it stage 4. But let me tell you a little bit real quick about what these stages are. So stage 0 means you're financially dependent. You depend on other people for survival, for extravagant things, or to take care of your daily expenses. You got no money of your own. So many of us will pass from stage 0 when we're in our teens, when we're stepping into adulthood. Sometimes life things happen that are so unforeseen that we have to go back to stage 0. Maybe we get sick. Maybe we lose work. Maybe, I don't know, someone crashes our car and that was the main way we're making money. Who knows? And we go back to stage 0 and we need to start over, right? Then from stage 0, we go to stage 1. You're solvent. This means you're not behind on bills, okay? And you're able to make some, you're good, okay? Your cash flow is a little bit positive, right? A lot of people are in stage 1. And then, we'll talk about the next stages in a second. But before I go into the next stages, I actually want to tell you guys what the base part of Basecamp stands for. And BASE stands for building assets and securing earnings. A lot of people go from 0 to 1 and they never go to Basecamp. They never built their roadmap, so they don't know where they're going, and they never had a plan, so they never started building a foundation. Now, when we're building assets and securing earnings, this is exactly what it looks like. You need a solid foundation to stack your wealth on. If you don't have a solid foundation to stack your wealth on, it's like what? The story of the 3 little pigs? You're building your house out of straw. You're building it out of wood. Nah, we want some bricks. We want something solid. It's not going nowhere. Your emergency fund is your first asset. It will keep you out of debt. Debt is the key thing that will steal your wealth away from you. Your emergency fund is your shield against debt. Secure. Without security, your wealth crumbles when life happens. We look back to the example of the persons that had money for their car and didn't have money for the car. We look at the examples that everyone shared with me: legal bills, phone bills, subscriptions, family help. It's wild. There's actually Bedros, this one dude I follow online, he says it's his ethical duty to build wealth because it's his responsibility to take care of his family. But if you don't have your base build, you don't have your emergency fund build, when you need to help family, a lot of us go into debt. Last time we talked about how expensive it is to die in Ontario. A lot of people go into debt just to bury their loved ones, which is sad to say. Then we look at earnings. Growing wealth means keeping what you earn, not losing it in emergencies. We want to keep as much money as we can. We don't want to be losing it, okay? That's kind of no other way for me to really say it. You don't want to be losing money. You want to keep as much of it. Now, a skyscraper needs a strong base before it can rise in the sky. Your emergency fund is the base for your financial skyscraper. Now let's actually go deep into ways that we can build our emergency fund, right? If you already have one, we're gonna talk about how to enhance your emergency fund. We're gonna look at how we should allocate our emergency fund. So step one, start saving now. Your first move to wealth is not investing, it's protecting your money. It's protecting your livelihood, it's protecting yourself. What does this look like? Maybe this looks like not only should you have an emergency fund, but you should have insurance. You should have critical illness. You should have money put in different places that you have your base set to save you. If you're self-employed, hey, there's EI for self-employed people. There's a way to do it. And if you guys want, we can definitely talk one-on-one. I can show you how to do that. But if you're employed somewhere, you already have EI. You have some sort of emergency fund, like I believe Steph mentioned in the comments, EI first while looking for a job. So when we were talking about building your roadmap, we talked about what percentages you should save. We said 10% to pay yourself first and 20% for your emergency fund. You want to save 20% of your income until you reach 6 months of living expenses. Okay, at least. And some of you guys are already there. I gotta give yourselves a pat on the back for already being there. Some of you guys are not there. By all means, start planning on how you're gonna get there. How long will it take? If you save 20% of your income every month, you'll have 1 month of expenses saved in 5 months. The next thing that you're looking at, well, if you wanna have 6 months, it might take you 27 months of putting 20% away to be able to be in that position, right? These are things to consider. In order to accelerate your savings, you want to increase your income. This could be side hustles. This could be asking for a raise. This could be looking at passive income streams. You want to reduce your expenses, cut out the non-essentials, downsize, lower your bills where you gotta. Our next slide continues talking about the 11 stages of wealth. So as we continue to look at the 11 stages of wealth, we have stage 2. So we went from 0 and 1, now we have 2. So stage 2, manage to build up some emergency funds, stay ready so you don't have to get ready. It's a quote from my friend Seth. I love this quote. Stay ready so you don't have to get ready, right? And then stage 3 is debt freedom. This means you have 0 debt other than maybe a mortgage, all right? You have no debt, you're free. Debt is actually, they say that the person who has debt is slave to the lender. For your whole life, you're paying this person off, whoever it may be, whatever the numbers may be. You're always giving away your money to other people. We want to be debt free, other than the debt that makes us money and puts more money in our pockets. Now, I've been thinking about emergency funds for so long, and I've been really thinking about what should your emergency fund look like? What should your formula be? Well, at the very least, look at your monthly expenses, your rent, your food, your insurance, your car payment, your gas, your whatever. That's the very base, but we do things a little differently here. Well, we want to add on a percentage. So if your monthly living costs are $4,000, which a lot of people it may be, I know for me it's gone over this number at this point, but if your monthly living is $4,000, you want to add on 30%, which is another $1,200. Well, I'll share why exactly we want to add on more. So your total monthly emergency fund target is $5,200. if your living needs are $4,000. Your 6-month goal then is $31,000 across 6 months, or $62,400 across 12 months. That will cover you for a year. Now, why are we adding on 30%? Does anyone want to guess why we're adding 30%? Feel free to drop in the chat why you think we would be adding on 30%.
So you don't lose everything you saved?
Partially, yeah, and that's a good one. So you don't lose everything you save. But at the MITM Club, we would like to thrive when chaos is happening instead of just merely surviving. Because if you budget for the exact amount that you've already been needing, hey, there's all these random things that come up at the worst times. 30% buffer will give you a little bit more breathing room. So that's why we want to add another 30% on top of it, because some next thing is gonna come and we wanna be a little bit more comfortable, all right? We don't wanna be just at the edge, barely treading water, right? All right, so let's talk about starting small. So starting small, week 1, save $50. That's one meal out to help your future security. Start small. It doesn't have to be big, massive change. Just make one shift. All right. I know someone in the chat. I think Steph said it. I think Steph said food is something. Outdoor food is a hard habit, and when you're able to cut out a little bit and shift that, you can move the money to your emergency fund. Right. It doesn't have to necessarily go to paying everyone else. Okay. Pay yourself that money. The next thing we're looking at is save $200. Maybe you skip one unnecessary purchase. You save one thing per week that you would normally buy. You don't need to. Oh my gosh, I just found more money for my emergency fund. I feel a little more secure. All right. Eventually, in 6 months, you keep that up. You will have saved $1,200. Congratulations. At least you have something saved instead of nothing. And then 12 months, you have a safety net. And this is just from cutting out small expenses. A lot of folks don't really know that managing money is just like managing your body. Fitness and finance are the same. It's these little habits. Hey, I chose to take the stairs. I chose to park a little bit further in the parking lot. I chose to add a little more salad to my plate than rice. It's all these little things that add up. It's not going to the gym one day and beating yourself up so that you hate your life. It's the same thing with finance. It's not all of a sudden I'm going to cut all my spending out so I can hate my life. Find the balance and build the small habits. And then you'll see yourself at stage 4. You'll be a wealth warrior. Okay, you'll have a year's worth of breathing room, and it'll happen sooner than you think. The time is going to pass regardless. The time is going to go and the time is going to happen regardless. So why not be able to enjoy your life and do the thing? Why not build in the direction that you want to go to? And if you're younger, it's so much easier. You have a larger time horizon. If you're older and you don't have these things set up, maybe, you got to work a little bit harder. You got to be more strategic. Maybe you got to sacrifice more. Here are some common excuses that a lot of people come up with, and here's some ways that you can overcome them. So, I don't make enough money. It's one of the first excuses that folks say why they can't build an emergency fund, why they can't save money. Start with something like $5 or $10. The biggest journeys start with just one step. You don't have to kill yourself to make this a reality. Just start with something. Even if you start a little coin jar, right? I step inside, I got a couple quarters in my pocket, throw it in there, building my emergency fund. You're setting the right intentions and the right action in the right direction, right? So start small. I have too many expenses. Ty, I have too many expenses. I can't save my money, Ty. Well, if you remember the roadmap, we have to review and organize ourselves, align, and then define where we want to go. So review your money, audit your spending, cut subscriptions, and maybe, just maybe, you might have to downgrade your lifestyle for just a little bit. And there's nothing wrong with taking a temporary downgrade. Personally, I'm a fan of lateral moves. If I can spend less but maintain my quality of living and life, I would love to take that option whenever possible. A lateral move is great. Sometimes you got to take at least one step back. And I don't know if you guys know how bow and arrows work, but in order to get that power and that momentum moving forward, you got to pull the bow back. You got to draw, you got to knock the bow to the string and draw it back to shoot it forward and give that momentum. I'll start later. One of my favorite ones. Actually, this is one of my favorite ones that I used to hear from my fitness clients all the time. I'll start later. Later. Well, unfortunately, later is never going to happen. Later doesn't exist. Later is something that exists in your head, and it doesn't exist in reality. I'm sorry, but it's true. It's never gonna happen. Okay? Future you will thank present you if you take any actions. And I'm saying start with the smallest actions possible. I showed you guys before, you can automate certain aspects of your savings accounts to put away something as small, as minuscule as 1%. Tiny amount. You won't notice it, but the account will start to grow. And then you'll feel silly just doing 1%, and you'll say, wait a second, let me put more. That's what'll end up happening. That's what you'll see happening. And there's a mindset shift to make. Mindset shift to every dollar I save today buys me peace of mind tomorrow. Actually, I saw a post earlier today and I saved it. It was a really interesting post where this girl, it's like one of those skits where she has like different clothes on and she's, one thing and then the other thing. And in one side, she's like, oh, I'm just gonna buy this pizza today, or yeah, I'm just gonna buy this whatever thing she wanted to buy. And she's like, it's only $10. And the person on the other side is like, no, that's like $700. What do you mean? And every time this girl said some little number on the other side, there was this massive number. It's like, where are you getting these numbers from? And she said, every dollar you spend now, today, is worth about $75 in retirement. If you were to put it in an investment and you were to make it grow, and by the time you're ready to retire, it would be worth that much more. And I was like, that's a very interesting thought process. If we take that same idea and put it towards building our emergency fund, every dollar you save today buys you peace of mind tomorrow. Let's look at our assets. Where to put your emergency fund, okay? We don't just want to save, you actually want to protect your money. You want to actually be able to have your money going into proper channels, proper tools, proper places. There's 3 golden rules for emergency fund. 3 things you have to consider when you're trying to decide where you're going to park your cash. And I put these together this way because I'm not going to say vaguely what everyone should do here, but I'm trying to give you some ideas of what to think about when you're going to go and make a movement. So your fund must be safe. If it's not safe, it's not an emergency fund. Okay, this is not an investment. This is a shield for financial disaster. When some next level crazy thing is about to happen in your life, this is your shield. This is what you want to have. No risky stuff, no crypto, no speculative, nothing. No, my brother said, my uncle said, my none of that. It has to be somewhere safe. You don't want to risk this money at all. You need it to be secure. The next golden rule for an emergency fund, it must be liquid. Okay, you must be able to get it quickly. You don't want anything long-term that's gonna lock up your money so you don't have access to it. That doesn't make any sense. When I was younger, there's a company called like Lending Loop or something like that. And I was already doing my mutual fund investments and I was already building up my emergency fund, and I was trying to look for more ways that I can make like a higher interest rate. And I found Lending Loop. It's okay. It's peer-to-peer lending. But I didn't realize after signing up and putting about $600 in that my money was locked up for 5 years. I had zero access to it. Zero. And I'm like, thank God I didn't put more money in, because I wish I'd put that into my any of my other investments anywhere else. This is a massive mistake that I made. Do not put your money somewhere, your emergency fund money especially, somewhere that they're gonna lock it up. The interest rate was terrible too. You guys gotta make sure you read the fine print on these things. They're like, you're gonna get 12%. I'm like, yo, 12% per year, that's sick. No, 12% after 4 years. So it's 12 divided by 4, which is like, bro, this is not even worth it for me. I'm glad that it was a small amount of money, and this is when I was young and stupid, you know? But yeah, make sure it's liquid. Your emergency fund must earn something. So you don't want it just sitting in a checking account, or at least you don't all of it sitting in a checking account. We're gonna go through that more specifically in just a second. But it should be working for you even while it's sitting there. I'll always say this, you pay yourself first because you want your money to work harder than you do. You want your money going and reproducing so that you can live whatever life you want to live. The only way to actually get ahead is make your money work harder than you do. If the business owners on this call, you guys know that when we use capital, when you use our money and we hire other people, it's so that they're now multiplying our earning potential so we can do more, for all the business owners on this call. But for everyone else, your money is what? In The Richest Man in Babylon, they say your money is like your slave. It's supposed to go and work hard and make more and bring you back more and make more and bring you back more. TFSA is the best liquid type of savings. It's one of them. And I'm actually, you know what, Steph, you're on the money. You're right there. You're right there, okay? Now there's 3 places to store your emergency fund. There's 3 places that you want to store your emergency fund. 3 places. Okay, option 1, high interest savings account. This is best for liquidity. The pros, you got immediate access. There's no risk of loss. Your earnings are going to be 1.5 to 3.5%. And this is better than just a regular checking account. Now, some companies you could be looking at might be like Neo Financial. It might be EQ Bank. It might be like, I don't know, Manulife has a pretty good bank. You can look at these different companies and find a high interest savings account for your liquid emergency fund. The cons, the interest is low compared to actual investments. And it can be too easy to spend if it's not separated. So what I used to do, I had EQ Bank. EQ at the time had the highest daily interest rate. I think now it's actually Neo, but I could be wrong. EQ Bank had the highest daily interest rate. It was insane. I put all of my liquid cash that I needed, and I just put 3 to 6 months of my savings into that account. Now it's a separate bank account from my main bank account. I don't have a card for that account. I have no way to easily go and access that, and I say easily in the sense of if I'm in the store. I didn't even keep the login on my phone. I'd have to go home and go on the computer and then type in whatever. I try to make as many barriers to access for myself in the short term. Like I could get it within 24 hours. I can get it within 5 hours, but I couldn't get it while I'm at the store. I couldn't get it just to spend it. So that barrier made it a little harder for me to go and spend the money, so it's easier for me to save it. In fact, I was able to automate from my Tangerine account to take 20% out of whatever I'm getting and send to that account without me even thinking about it. And it grew on its own. Now you want to think about this for the first 3 to 6 months of your emergency fund, which we call, moving forward, our liquid gold. Ideally 3 months. Beyond 3 months, not really the best anymore. And I'll show you why in the next slide. So the next place to put your emergency fund is GICs. And you could look for GICs or something comparable or similar. Okay, guaranteed investment certificates. There's a higher interest rate than high interest savings accounts. You're looking at 3 to 5, sometimes 7, sometimes 10%. If you find the right GICs, they have some like wonderful promotions. I would shop around at the multiple different banks to see where can I get a good GIC. Yeah, you have higher interest rate. There's no risks. Your capital is fully protected. It's not going down, and it forces your discipline. You cannot access it early. Now, there's some really cool stuff with GICs, but the cons are your money's locked up for 3 to 12 months, sometimes 5, sometimes 10. But we're not looking at anything beyond a certain timeline here. It's not ideal for emergencies that need immediate access. So this is why over here I'm like, look, have liquid cash 3 to 6 months. But then 3 months and beyond, maybe you put it in a GIC so it's gaining more money. This is like your safe vault. And the cool thing is you can stack these to be like, well, my emergency fund has 3 months worth of my savings that I need. And then all of a sudden, after the 3 months ends, one of the GIC contract ends because I got a 3-month contract. So now I have access to another pool of cash. And I've already decided to be 30% more than what I might need. I might have 30% more than what I think I need. So I'm not stressing and dipping in anything just yet. So you can stack them strategically. And that's what I started doing. It's really useful. I'm getting my 5%, whatever, beating inflation, just barely. They kind of lie to us about inflation, but that's neither here nor there. And then we go from there. So this is for 3 months and beyond. This can be your safety vault. But then the third place, and this is honestly my actual favorite place to park my cash, is in whole life insurance, cash value specifically. I use this for my long-term security. Here are the pros. Your money grows tax-free while remaining accessible. You can borrow against your cash value for emergencies, and it provides me with insurance coverage. Cons, it takes about 3+ years, technically 1, but can take some time to build it, so it's useful. And it requires policy loans to access it, and this can take 8 to 12 business days. 10 is a sweet spot. But this is good for long-term protection and wealth building beyond 6 months. So the way you would set it up, and let's actually look at this. This is one way we would be able to optimize it using the high interest savings account and the GIC combo. So 3 months worth of your money in a high interest savings account, immediate access for the next 3 months, you're good. And remember, you did 30% more than what you thought you'd need, so you're good. And then the rest is in a short-term GIC. We're looking at 3-month GIC, 6-month GIC. And if you get the 3-month GIC, they auto renew if you don't take it out. So you don't really have to think about it. It'll keep on growing. What it would look like is $18,000. And this is using the same 5,000, was it 5,200 from the beginning? $5,200, yeah. So this is using the same numbers, the same example as earlier. So we would have $18,200 in a high interest savings account. This is 3.5 months worth of cash, liquid, sitting there gaining a good amount of interest. And then we have another $13,000 and beyond in your GIC. So your total emergency fund will be about $31,000. The crazy thing is, and this is if your expenses are about $4,000 a month, you're spending this money regularly. You're having money to come in to then go and spend this money, and you can expand or contract the numbers to whatever your numbers are. So many folks don't realize this money is going through your hands one way or another. Well, let's look at another option, another scenario. This is kind of what I do, and I find this a lot more lucrative for many reasons, and we'll go deep on this on another day. But you're using a whole life policy for long-term security, and then your high interest savings account for your day-to-day needs. So for this, you use 21 days. It could even be less, to be honest. You could put literally 10 days in a high interest savings account and do the whole life for the rest. But 21 days in a high interest savings account, it's accessible right away. This covers your 10 business days that it would take to get your money, which is technically 2 weeks. And then let's say there's a week for holidays if holidays happen. And the rest is in a whole life insurance policy. And you can get loans against it. So the cool thing is with this is why I like it for myself. And I like to teach people this. You get loans, your money doesn't stop growing. You're getting 6% annually, compounding forever. I had an emergency. Oh no, my car broke down. I need $2,000. Great. Borrow the $2,000 out of the policy, pay it back later on, but the $2,000 was still growing inside the policy. So with this, our total emergency fund is, I believe, the same number as before. Yeah, still $31,200, but we just have less. We pretty much have a month, less than a month. You don't even need that much sitting inside of your high interest savings account, and the rest in a whole life. Now, the cool thing about the whole life that a lot of people don't realize, right? Earlier I mentioned, hey, it costs this much to die in Canada. When you do something like this, your whole life actually increases. So let's say someone got $500,000 whole life policy and they're spending like $200 a month on it, but they put away $27,000 into that. Rolando has a card. If I take out $2K from a whole life savings account, the $2K will still be growing in the account. Yes. And it's not taking out, you take a loan out against it. So you have a balance. And I'm actually gonna break this down on a future session where I go really in depth explaining all of this and how it works. I've been studying it for the better part of 6 years now, and I've been living it for the better part of 4, which is really cool. This is another way you can use your savings account to actually build your wealth. Now, not only do you have safety if you get sick, if you actually pass away, your family is more than blessed. Like, not to say, but a lot of people say, hey, I'm worth more dead than alive, which is a good thing and a bad thing, you know? But this way you can have more leverage. So these are 2 different examples: high interest savings account with a GIC or high interest savings account with a whole life policy. And I think Neo right now actually has the best high interest savings account. I think it's like 4 or 5% in the high interest savings account. Now they do split that up for the year and whatever other ways that the banks do it that they think they're slick with. But if you do all of these different things, you'll be stepping into stage 6 of your wealth journey pretty quickly. You've built yourself a fortress for your future. So let's move to secure. Okay, how much and how soon? Financial security is not just a dream. This is a reality, and it could be your reality. Now, why is securing your emergency fund such a game changer? First of all, we already talked about the fact that financial stress is one of the biggest things that happens to folks. 60% of people couldn't handle a measly $1,000 emergency without going into debt. Like, when you really think about it, $1,000 is not a lot of money. It's not a lot of money. But it can change your life if you don't have the money. You end up going to money market, payday loan. They give you a little bit of money. They offer you more money than you need. And then they slap you a 45% interest on that. You're not getting out of that. That's the worst. I've watched it destroy so many people, especially because where I'm coming from, right? Coming from nothing. I see so many people that also come from nothing but don't learn the strategies. They didn't have their mentor Paul to guide them around the bullshit. And I want to be your mentor and help you avoid the bullshit and find success. When you have your emergency fund, you're going to shift from survival to strategy. You're not just going to be thinking about how am I going to eat. You're going to think about, I want to expand my Turo fleet, or I think I want to buy more properties because there's more investment opportunities. You'll be able to think bigger instead of just in front of you. In fact, there's a story of a giraffe and a turtle, and they're both trying to find the watering hole. They're thirsty, trying to find the watering hole, and the turtle thinks it's going in the right direction. Like, I'm gonna go over here, but the turtle can only see like 6 feet in front of it. Wanders this way, wanders that way, wanders all over the place. And the giraffe can see for miles. He just takes a quick look around, and he's like, I'm gonna go over there. Straight, I can see the water. I want you guys to be the giraffe. And the only way to be that is to not be living in survival mode and to be able to step into strategic mode. The giraffe has strategy. You can see everything. Let me see. Years ago, I signed up paying $18 a month with my bank. It's like a safety death thing. My family would get $50,000 to pay for my funeral. It's been a long time since I last saw my certificate, but I'll explain it better if I do. Yeah. Thanks for sharing. And what I would say even with that is like, there's more, there's something about the bank ones, but we'll get into that on another day. But that's good. You're forward thinking. That's amazing. Let's see. Instead of just reacting, we want to be proactive. So you want to think about how much do you really need? How much money do you really need? And then we go into expanding your wealth, turning your savings into growth. Your emergency fund, the cool thing about it is that it's going to continue to grow. The reason why there's 11 stages of wealth is that after you have a year put aside, maybe 2, then you have more ability to start taking some risks and start investing. Your emergency fund turns into an additional investing fund once you have at least a year or 2 years put away. Your emergency fund turns into your FU money to your boss because you hate your job, or maybe you love your job, but you just don't feel like going to your job. Your emergency fund turns into, bye, I'm leaving. I'm good. I have like 5 years of my emergency fund. But it's no longer called an emergency fund once you start to get into those zones. Once you start looking at what wealth means, what it really means to have wealth, abundance, and the ability to create and prosper. That's actually what CAMP stands for. CAMP stands for create, apply, multiply, and prosper. Building your base is, let's say, the first probably 5-6 stages of the 11 stages. But once we've passed being a wealth warrior or even having your freedom vault, let's say your legacy builder, everything from here upwards is I have, 5 years, 6 years. Up here I got 10 years. I have so much more than what I could spend. Actually, let me show you guys specifically what that looks like, because I have it over here. And you guys are gonna see my obsidian, my obsidian notes. It's my note taker, guys. Every step on this journey is taking you to your, ascension, really. So we talked about the first 3, 4, we got a year's worth. We got 5 years, legacy builder. When you get 5 years of your money put away, you start to move different. You start to look at opportunities differently. You start to look at working differently. Okay, when you got 10 years, hey, you start thinking about living your, maybe taking a mini retirement. You start thinking about a sabbatical. You start thinking about, if you had 10 years of your living taken care of, how differently would you move in this world? What would you do differently? By all means, 3 months, 6 months, amazing. Guys, the fact that y'all are saying that, you're already ahead of so many people in this world that don't have any, next month, next week, it's like, man, I'm out. And that's okay if you are. It's time to take some steps. But imagine if you had 10 years, how differently would your life be? Okay, stage 7. Now, not only do we have 10 years, but your investments are covering your essential expenses. Now you get to step back. You're like, wait, I don't have to work if I don't want to. My essentials are all paid for. That means my rent, my insurance, my car, my food, all the things that I need, my basics for living are good. Then we look at stage 8. We're actually designing life now. It's like, wait a second, more than essentials. Okay, work is optional. You don't have to go if you don't want to. You're starting to design life on your term. How many folks are actively thinking about this? What do we have here? You can start to live dream life at stage 9. And we were talking about your dream life in the roadmap. How much does your dream life cost? Think about how much your actual dream life costs. The car you want to drive, or do you have a chauffeur? I don't know. Do you Uber everywhere? We all kind of have access to chauffeurs now. What kind of food do you eat? Where do you live? Who's in your life? All of these things, your dream life. And you built a machine that's chugging along and taking care of all these things for you. You don't have to do anything if you don't want to. And when you look at stage 10, you have so much. You can start giving back to other people. You can start running ventures. You can start leaving a lasting impact and legacy. And I tell you, most people don't make it past stage 3. But yes, I did want to share all of these aspects around the 10 stages and show you guys a little bit more in depth what these 10 stages look like, what they mean, how they can impact your life. So with that being said, before we do sign off, I do want to say thank you guys for joining. If you want, there's actually a workbook that I've created that I'm going to be sending out to everyone that has been participating. I was just gonna send it to the people that were tapped in through. Is there a way to? Yes. So Rolando, afterwards, after these sessions, it will be live for about until next week's session. So I'll be sending out the link. You may have gotten the link. It's always the same link, but it's a different video, a different session every time. And then I'm not sure the timeline afterwards. We'll be putting them out to the public, but that'll be a while into the future. But just give me 1 second, guys. I want to show you guys a sneak peek of something that we're working on. The editor just got back to me, so it's still very, very fresh, super fresh. But it's called The 6 Pillars of Success. And I wanted to get you guys access to this so that you can put your best foot forward with designing out your dream lives. All right. Oh yeah, I'm literally showing you guys the version that the editor sent back to me. She's like, fix this, fix that. So you guys are seeing the raw and unfiltered. All right. So definitely bear with me. Give me 1 second. I'll share my screen. And yeah, I'd love to send this out to all of you. It's so funny. I'm gonna keep saying this every time. I feel like such an old person. Every time I'm trying to show you guys something on my screen, I'm like, where's the thing? How did I get here? Who am I? All right, I don't think I can really full screen this any more than it is. Thank you, MacBook, for being so wonderful. So this is the 6 pillars to success. All right, this is a goal setting tool. I first developed this back when I was about 15, and I've been refining it for the last 15 years now, officially, as of this year. So like I said, I'm showing you guys the side where like this is the editor saying, hey, look at all these edits, but the official version will be done just now. This aligns with your roadmap. Okay, so everything in here, I wonder if I could just show you the sections real quick. We're going to be talking about your roadmap, your big why, right? Exploring the big why. What is sacrifice? What does that mean? What does it mean to align? What does it mean to be? And this goes perfectly with your roadmap and your base camp, so you can start to live the life of your dreams. So before we do sign out, does anyone have any questions, comments, concerns? Guys, we have the program. It's called the Money Mastery Dash. I forgot to mention it last time too. So the Money Mastery Dash is set up to help you master your cash in 5 days or less. I want to carry you up the mountain the first time. So there's 2 ways to go through the Money Mastery Dash. One, you could go through all solo, right? You have 1 session one-on-one with me where we'll be building, politicking, helping you build up what you got to build. The other one is much more in depth. It's the MITM VIP experience, where I literally am going to do all the heavy lifting for you. I will do everything you need for your finances. Yes, I am a certified financial specialist, and so I'll send you the link whenever you're ready. But the first thing I'm going to send out is this free book, so you guys get some additional resources. And anyone that's interested in the Money Mastery Dash, I will be sharing that also. So thank you for mentioning that. We'll get that sent out to everyone. Does anyone else have any questions, comments, concerns? Just trying to live as cheap as possible. Never drove or had a license. Hey, whatever we gotta do to save. Hey, by all means. Like for the longest time, I tell you, I rode a bike everywhere. Even when I did get a car, I'm like, this car needs to make money. Like, I don't just have car for the sake of car. To this day, I only buy cars to put them on Turo so that they can rent out and make me money. In fact, we just bought the second car, and within an hour of me posting it on the site, it was already rented. So this is great. But I definitely get that. You gotta stay below your means. Yes, by any means possible. It's called Turo, Turo. Yeah, I've been doing it for 5 years now. Went through great cars, terrible cars, and now I'm able to I figured out the sweet spot to make money no matter what off these. So yes, if anyone wants to learn about Turo, I can teach you guys about that too. But yeah, Steph, I definitely get that. I'm in the same boat. Okay, yes, Frank, I will be sending you the goal setting book. You will see it. I will send it directly to you in our MITM chat on Telegram. So I'll give you early access. And then to everyone else, I think a lot of folks are on the WhatsApp broadcast. I'm only sending it to people that were in this chat. Like, I'm not sending it to everyone, right? So if you want the book, just say, Ty, I want the book, and I'll send it to you. The folks that are in the MITM Club Telegram, everyone that's over there, yeah, that's for like the inner circle. You know, if you guys want to get on Telegram, you got to go through the Money Mastery Dash. Everyone that's there, there's a lot more that I give back. Like the fitness programs are coming out soon for you guys, so keep your eyes peeled for that. I'm gonna be giving everyone access to the Release the Beast Fitness app, so you guys can get shredded for summer. And everyone that is a part of the MITM Club, through that, you don't have to pay for that. So that's coming soon. Just keep your eyes peeled. But yeah, I guess that's kind of it. Is there any other questions you guys have before I sign out?
No, this was great, bro. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you guys for joining. Thanks for tapping in. The replay will be live. I'm gonna try and get it up by tomorrow.
Thanks,
and it'll be live. Yeah. Thanks for. Hey. Amazing. Thanks everybody. And I'll see you soon. Stay blessed by the best, y'all.
Give them that creme de la creme whenever I spit that hot shit. Ain't no lose or draw when it's the only option. Till I'm balling like Stockton, I'm locked in. Researching the best stock tips, fuck gossip unless it makes a profit.